The townspeople in Yuma called it the Country Club on the Colorado River, but the convicts called it the Hellhole.
Either way, it's not a club where you want to be a member. Back in 1876, the Yuma Territorial Prison was home to Arizona Territory's most dangerous criminals, and unusual ones too.
People committed crimes ranging from murder, larceny, cattle rustling, horse theft. We had one gentleman in prison for seduction under the promise of marriage.
The main cell block housed more than 200 convicts, and accommodations were tight.
6 men to a cell, I imagine it could get very crowded, especially if you're not liked by your other cellmates. It could cause problems. They only took showers once a week, which was on Saturday. You also had the problem of the bucket that was used as a restroom, which was emptied out only once a day.
Not what you would consider luxurious, but during that period, this prison was ahead of the game.
This institution was really modern for its time. It had electricity before the town of Yuma. We did have a ventilation system here at the prison, and it actually had the best library in town.
Even the way prison officials kept tabs on the inmates was considered innovative. A special mirror was used when snapping mug shots.
I think it was very creative. It was one way how to get both views of the convict. And actually, unfortunately, the first 200 convicts do not have a photo, but the remaining convicts do.
And at this prison, there were some pretty famous faces.
Our most famous male convict was probably Buckskin Frank Leslie, who was a character down in Tombstone, Arizona, about the same time Wired Up and his brothers were down there. And he was sent to prison for murder. We even had women convicts here. Our most famous female convict was Pearl Hart, who committed the last stagecoach robbery in Arizona.
Whether you were a celebrity criminal or not, when the convicts acted up, the results were swift and severe.
There were 3 forms of punishment here at the Territorial Prison. One was a ball and chain for those who tried to escape. The other was maximum security for some of the troublemakers, but for the real troublemakers, there was a dark cell. In the center of the cell, there's a cage, and the cage was 5 foot high, 10 foot long, and that's where they kept the troublemakers. There were 2 solid metal doors. There'd be no light whatsoever coming into the cell. The only light is from a vent that's in the center of the room.
By the early 1900s, the prison closed its doors to criminals. But some say inmates are still serving time.
There's 2 areas that are supposedly haunted here at the Territorial Prison. One is the main cell block area, the cell on the far end. The other area that is haunted is the dark cell, and that is haunted by the spirit of a little girl who lived in the dark cell during the 1930s, during the Great Depression.
Hauntings and history. It's the prison on the hill that still teaches people today. A touch of Arizona's Old West, and a legacy no longer kept under lock and key. Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism.